It had been one of those endless days, the kind where time seems to drag, but every moment carries a weight. The office lights, the constant chatter, the blaring notifications, all of it had blurred together into a fog of exhaustion that settled deep in my chest. I had tried to escape, even briefly, in small pockets of silence during the day, but nothing seemed to reach the ache inside me. When evening finally arrived, I found myself restless, wandering through the familiar streets of my town. The air was cool, carrying a faint scent of rain from earlier in the day, and a hush had fallen over the world as if it had decided to pause, to breathe alongside me. I walked without direction, letting my feet carry me where they would, my mind buzzing quietly with thoughts I had spent weeks ignoring. The streetlights flickered gently, illuminating the cobblestone path beneath my steps. Every stone seemed to carry a memory, an echo of footsteps past, whispering stories I couldn't quite hear. I felt a strange sense of solitude, not loneliness, but the kind of quiet that invites reflection, that allows one to confront the edges of their own heart. As I walked, I became aware of the moon. It hung low in the sky, larger and brighter than I had ever noticed before, bathing the town in a pale silver light. Its glow was soft, almost tender, as if it had been waiting all day to embrace the world in quiet calm. I paused, lifting my face to the sky, and for a moment I allowed myself to simply breathe, to let the gentle light wash over me. "Why do I feel so heavy?" I whispered into the night, though I wasn't sure if I expected an answer. My voice seemed swallowed by the stillness, yet it carried with it the weight of every worry, every unspoken fear, every longing that had accumulated over months. And then, quite unexpectedly, it answered. Not in words, at least not in the ordinary way, but in a sensation that spread through my chest, soft and warm, as though the moon itself had leaned closer to hear my heartbeat. There was no voice, no sound, only a gentle rhythm that matched my own, and in that rhythm, I understood something I had long avoided. I had been carrying too much, too many thoughts, too many anxieties, too many what-ifs that had no place in this moment. I exhaled slowly, feeling the first real relief I had known in weeks. The restlessness that had plagued me began to soften, replaced by a curious stillness. I continued walking, letting the moonlight guide me, and noticed how the world around me had changed in its presence. Shadows danced gracefully across the walls of old buildings, leaves rustled softly with the night breeze, and the air seemed thick with a quiet promise that everything, somehow, would be okay. The path led me toward the edge of town, where the familiar streetlights faded, and the buildings gave way to towering oaks and whispering pines. The moonlight painted the trees with silver edges, and in that glow, I thought I could see movement, tiny glimmers like fireflies, yet calmer, almost deliberate, as if the night itself was alive and aware of my wandering heart. I slowed, noticing the way the air felt different here, heavier with the scent of pine and earth, lighter with the cool touch of moonlight. The world felt suspended, caught in the delicate space between wakefulness and dreams. And I realized that I was beginning to walk, not out of restlessness, but out of curiosity. Where was this path taking me? What story awaited in the quiet folds of the night? Then I saw it, a clearing. It was small, almost hidden, surrounded by the thickest of trees that arched toward the sky as if creating a protective dome. The moonlight fell perfectly across the open space, illuminating the grass in soft silver hues. I stepped forward cautiously, drawn by an instinct I did not question, and immediately felt the tension in my body begin to melt. The clearing smelled faintly of wildflowers, damp earth, and something indefinably comforting, like the scent of home I hadn't realized I missed. I lowered myself to the grass, feeling the cool blades brush against my palms, and leaned back, letting the moonlight touch my face. And there it was again, the sensation, the pulse of quiet understanding. The moon was whispering, softly, endlessly, and intimately, to my heart. It spoke of letting go, of surrendering to the night, of trusting in a rhythm larger than my own worries. As I lay there, I began to feel the first threads of calm weave their way through me. Thoughts that had seemed unshakable began to dissolve like mist in the morning sun. Memories of small kindnesses, of moments I had overlooked, floated gently through my mind. I thought of laughter I hadn't shared, of love that had once felt overwhelming but was now gentle, and of dreams I had shelved, waiting for the right time that never came. The night seemed to stretch endlessly, neither pressing nor retreating, just existing with me in perfect patience. I felt my heartbeat slow, my breath deepen, my mind soften. And as I listened to the rhythm of the world, the rustle of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, the whisper of wind through the trees, I realized that I was not alone. The moon, the night, the very air around me had become a companion, a guardian, a guide. I closed my eyes, surrendering fully to the calm. In that silence, I heard secrets meant only for my heart, assurances that I was enough, that I was worthy, that peace was never truly lost, only waiting for me to notice it. And in that moment, I understood something profound. The world could wait. The weight I had carried could rest. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I could simply be. As sleep began to claim me, I felt a final whisper, soft, nearly imperceptible, but infinitely comforting, tracing the edges of my consciousness. Rest now. Trust yourself. The night is yours. And with that, I let go completely. The clearing had been a sanctuary, a quiet pause in the rhythm of life, yet something inside me stirred. I rose slowly, brushing the cool dew from my palms, and felt a gentle pull guiding me along a path that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. It was not marked by signs or trails, only by the way the silver light painted the edges of the forest, inviting me forward. As I walked, the sounds of the night became more distinct, each one deliberate and soothing. The rustle of leaves, a distant owl's soft hoot, the gentle trickle of a hidden stream. It was as if the world had orchestrated every sound for this single slow journey. My steps, once hurried and restless, now matched the rhythm of the night. With each breath, I felt lighter, as though the air itself was helping me release the tension I had carried for so long. And then, as if confirming my thoughts, the moon's glow intensified slightly, sending a soft, almost imperceptible vibration through the air. It was as if it were whispering again, secrets not in words, but in feeling. Tears welled up quietly, not from sadness, but from relief, a gentle acknowledgement of the burdens I had carried and the comfort I had found in simply allowing them to rest. The world below, the forest around me, and the sky above all seemed to exist in perfect harmony, a symphony designed to cradle the heart. As I lay back on the hill, gazing at the stars, I felt my breathing slow, each inhale and exhale matching the soft rhythm of the night. The world had become fluid, timeless, and I surrendered fully to the experience. Dreams began to drift near, soft and inviting, carrying with them fragments of hope, peace, and quiet magic. Somewhere in the distance, a fox's eyes caught the moonlight, and I watched it pause before disappearing into the shadows, a silent reminder that life continues in its own gentle ways, even in solitude. The moon seemed to pulse in response, a slow heartbeat echoing through the night, aligning with my own. By the time I finally closed my eyes fully, I felt something shift inside me. The restlessness that had plagued me for so long had softened to a gentle curiosity, a wonder for the night's secrets. I understood, for the first time, that some truths cannot be found in the bright chaos of the day. They are whispered only in the stillness of the moonlit hours, carried gently into the hearts willing to listen. And in that understanding, I felt a profound sense of peace. The night had begun to teach me its language, slow and deliberate, patient and kind. It promised that every journey, every step, every pause had meaning, even unseen. As the stars blinked above, I drifted closer to sleep, carrying with me the certainty that the moon's whispers would guide me through the hours to come. The path wound gently down from the hilltop, leading me deeper into the heart of the forest. Each step felt purposeful, yet effortless, as though the night itself carried me forward. Shadows flickered softly around me, cast by the tree's intricate branches, and the moon hung overhead like a guardian, illuminating the world with a silver calm. After a short while, I noticed a clearing ahead, partially hidden by the thick canopy. As I approached, the space revealed itself in all its quiet beauty. Soft moss covered the ground, tiny flowers glimmered faintly, and the air carried the delicate scent of pine and wild herbs. The moonlight poured in from above, bathing the clearing in an ethereal glow, and I knew instinctively that this place was special, somewhere meant for moments like these, where the heart could finally speak and be heard. I stepped inside, my bare feet brushing against the cool moss. The stillness was profound, a silence that carried weight, yet felt welcoming. I sank to the ground, leaning back against the trunk of a wide oak, and allowed myself to breathe deeply, inhaling the night with all its subtle fragrances. It was as if the world had narrowed to this small clearing, this single moment, and nothing outside mattered. The moonlight seemed to respond, growing warmer and more luminous, as though leaning in closer to touch my face. And then I felt it again, the gentle vibration, subtle yet undeniable, that had first caught me in the clearing hours earlier. This time it was stronger, richer, filled with a depth I hadn't yet experienced. It was not a voice, not in the ordinary sense, but a presence that spoke directly to my heart. "You have carried too much," it seemed to say, and I felt every unspoken worry, every hidden fear, resonate in response. "You do not need to bear it alone. You are allowed to release." Tears welled in my eyes, not from sorrow, but from relief. The weight I had carried for months, the constant mental chatter, the sleepless nights, the quiet anxieties, began to dissolve, like mist evaporating in the gentle warmth of dawn. I exhaled slowly, and with each breath, I felt lighter, freer, as though a heavy cloak had been lifted from my shoulders. I closed my eyes and let the whispers envelop me. They spoke of the things I had neglected, the quiet joys, the small victories, the fleeting moments of kindness I had overlooked. Memories drifted softly, like petals floating on a slow-moving stream, each one bringing with it a subtle reminder that life, even in its chaos, holds gentle beauty. Minutes or perhaps hours passed. Time had lost its usual shape, stretching and folding with the rhythm of the night. I felt my heartbeat align with the soft pulse of the moonlight, and in that alignment, I realized that the world was not demanding anything from me. The clearing, the forest, the moon, they existed simply to guide me, to remind me that peace is not earned, it is allowed. As I lay back on the soft moss, I noticed a subtle shimmer at the edges of the clearing. Tiny motes of light, like fireflies, yet softer, more deliberate, danced slowly in the air, circling in patterns that seemed almost ceremonial. I watched, captivated, and slowly understood that these lights were not merely decorative. They were expressions of the night itself, communicating in movement what words could not. "You are seen. You are enough. You are safe," the night seemed to whisper. Each phrase sank deeply into my consciousness, wrapping around the corners of my mind that had been frayed and restless. For the first time in what felt like years, I experienced a profound sense of acceptance, not the conditional kind offered by others, but the unconditional kind that rises from within, acknowledged by the quiet world around me. I opened my eyes and let them wander over the clearing. The oak trees stood tall, their branches swaying gently, creating a rhythm that felt like a lullaby. The moonlight shifted subtly as clouds passed by, casting moving shadows that made the moss and flowers appear alive, breathing alongside me. Even the small brook that wound its way through the clearing seemed to hum softly, the water murmuring secrets in a language I understood without words. I began to speak softly, though no one was there to hear, except perhaps the night itself. "I have been afraid. I have carried too much. I have forgotten how to rest." My words floated into the air, and I felt them return to me in the form of warmth, like a gentle embrace. The whispers of the moon mingled with the breeze, answering not with language, but with sensation. A slow, soothing pulse but seeped into my bones. And then, the most surprising part, I realized I was not just listening, I was participating. Each thought I released, each fear I acknowledged, became part of the night, absorbed into its infinite calm. I felt lighter with every moment, freer than I had felt in a lifetime. The moon's glow seemed to swirl around me, soft tendrils of light brushing my skin like a whispering hand, guiding me into a space I had long forgotten existed within myself, a place of stillness, clarity, and quiet joy. Dreams began to drift near, soft and inviting, carrying fragments of places I had never seen, yet felt intimately familiar. I imagined walking along shores bathed in silver light, floating through forests where leaves glimmered like stars, and resting in meadows so tranquil that even the air seemed to sigh with contentment. Each vision was gentle, deliberate, and entirely calming, a bridge between the waking world and the slumber that awaited. I closed my eyes fully, surrendering to the night, to the clearing, to the whispers of the heart. And as I did, I felt a final lingering pulse from the moon, a quiet promise that it would remain with me, even when I woke, even when the day returned. Its secret message, carried in the stillness and the silver light, was simple yet profound. Rest, and know that you are always safe in the rhythm of the night. The wind shifted slightly, carrying with it the scent of wildflowers and damp earth, and I drifted into sleep, deep, untroubled, and wholly enveloped by the night. In that sleep, I traveled through dreams that felt like gentle lessons, whispers that guided my soul, and a calm so deep that when I awoke, I would carry it with me forever. And for the first time, I knew the night was not just a time of darkness. It was a companion, a teacher, a friend. And the secrets it whispered were meant only for those who listened with their hearts. As the gentle pulse of the moon's glow settled into the clearing, I felt the first waves of sleep approach. They were not sudden or forceful. Rather, they arrived like a tide, slow and patient, carrying me softly toward a space beyond the waking world. Lying on the cool moss, I let my mind drift, allowing the whispering winds, rustling leaves, and the distant murmur of the brook to guide me deeper into the night's embrace. The moment I closed my eyes fully, the world transformed. The clearing faded, and I found myself walking along a silvered shore where the sand glimmered like powdered starlight. The ocean stretched infinitely, its waves gentle, almost musical, each crest and ripple moving in harmony with the rhythm of my heartbeat. The moon hung above, larger than life, its reflection shimmering across the water, guiding me forward. I felt a strange familiarity here, as though I had walked this shore before, in another time or perhaps another life. A soft breeze caressed my skin, carrying the scent of salt and night-blooming flowers. Tiny lights floated across the waves, like fireflies dancing on water, illuminating the path with delicate sparks. I followed them instinctively, each step lighter than the last, the burdens I had carried in the waking world dissolving further with every breath. Suddenly, I noticed a figure in the distance. It was neither human nor entirely ethereal, but a presence that radiated calm and warmth. Its movements were slow and deliberate, and as I approached, I realized it was an embodiment of the night itself, a being woven from moonlight, shadow, and the soft glow of the stars. It did not speak in words, yet I understood everything it wished to convey: peace, patience, acceptance, and the gentle power of release. The figure extended a hand, and I felt an irresistible pull to join it. As I did, the world shifted once again. I was floating above the ocean now, gliding effortlessly with the rhythm of the waves. The stars reflected beneath me as though the universe itself had opened to cradle me in its calm. Every fear, every lingering worry melted away in the softness of the night. I began to explore this dreamscape, wandering through realms that felt both real and fantastical. Forests of silver trees rose beside crystal rivers, their leaves whispering secrets I could not articulate but felt deeply. Mountains stretched high, capped with clouds that glowed softly, like lanterns in a quiet village. The moon followed me faithfully, its glow a constant reassurance, pulsing gently with every heartbeat, every sigh, every thought of release. In this dream, I found small, serene moments that asked nothing of me but presence. I sat by a river where the water shimmered with stars, dipping my hands in and feeling the cool, soothing current flow over me. I watched birds with translucent wings glide through the night, their songs soft and harmonious, blending seamlessly with the rustle of unseen forests. I rested in meadows where the grass whispered under my fingertips and the flowers radiated calm with each gentle sway. And then I felt the moon whisper once more, not in words, but in a vibration that resonated within me. You are enough. You are whole. You are safe. The words were a balm, a reassurance that traveled to the deepest corners of my being. I felt tears of gratitude well up, though they were gentle, not sorrowful, each one a release of the tension I had carried for months. Time here was fluid, almost meaningless. I drifted through dreamscapes that seemed to stretch infinitely, yet every moment felt complete, every scene rich with peace. I explored hidden valleys where soft light spilled through misty canopies, walked along moonlit cliffs where waves whispered secrets from the ocean below, and rested beneath ancient trees whose leaves glimmered like tiny lanterns. At one point, I came upon a small cabin nestled between two hills, its windows aglow with warm light. I stepped inside, feeling an immediate sense of belonging. The room was simple yet perfect. A cozy hearth crackled softly, throwing gentle shadows across the walls, and a soft rug invited me to sit and rest. I realized that this cabin was a reflection of my inner self, a safe space where worries could not intrude and where my mind and heart could simply breathe. Sitting by the fire, I felt the moon's presence behind me, its soft glow filtering through the window, comforting, patient, unintrusive. Here, the night's lessons became clearer, that peace is not found in frantic activity, nor in the noise of the day, but in moments of stillness, in the deliberate act of allowing oneself to simply exist. The dream shifted again, this time to a gentle forest where streams wound lazily between the roots of enormous trees. The air was thick with the scent of moss and rain, and tiny motes of light danced like gentle fireflies, guiding me along the paths. Each step was deliberate, yet effortless, as though the forest itself wanted me to move slowly, to savor each heartbeat, each breath. I began to realize that these dreams were not mere fantasies, but lessons. Every element, the glowing rivers, the moonlit meadows, the whispering winds, was a teacher, offering guidance without demand. I felt myself absorbing each lesson, letting the words, sights, and sensations seep into my consciousness, knitting together the frayed edges of my soul. Hours passed in this timeless dream, yet every moment felt intentional. I experienced joy, serenity, and wonder in their purest forms, without expectation, without hurry, simply being. And the moon, constant and steady, pulsed alongside me, whispering continuously to my heart, reinforcing the quiet truths I had begun to understand, that I am enough, that I am safe, that I am seen. As the night carried on, I allowed myself to drift further into the dream, fully surrendering. The moon's glow, the whisperings of the clearing, and the gentle rhythm of the night all intertwined, guiding me toward a deep, untroubled sleep. I felt myself merge with the calm, letting go of all tension, all worry, all resistance. And in that surrender, I knew I was home. The night had become more than a backdrop. It was alive, breathing with me, listening to me, teaching me. Its secrets were no longer hidden. They were carried gently into my heart, ensuring that even when I would wake, the sense of peace would remain. And as I floated, dream after dream, in worlds illuminated by moonlight and whispered secrets, I realized that the night's magic was infinite, endless, and entirely mine to carry.
When I awoke in the clearing, it was not to the harsh glare of the sun, but to the gentle silver light of the moon still lingering in the sky. I had slept deeply, yet felt neither groggy nor lost in time, only peaceful, as though my soul had been cradled and rearranged in ways I could not fully name. The forest around me seemed to breathe, alive and patient. every leaf and branch part of a vast, silent symphony. I rose slowly, brushing dew from the moss, and allowed myself to move without urgency. The lessons of the night were beginning to unfold in subtle ways, not through dramatic revelation, but through quiet understanding. Each sensation, the caress of the wind, the gentle shimmer of moonlight, the soft murmur of the brook, was a teacher, and I was learning to listen without trying to control, to absorb without judgment. The first lesson came simply: presence. To exist fully in the moment without rushing toward the next, without replaying the past or fretting over the future. I paused at the edge of a brook, watching the water ripple gently over smooth stones. Its motion was steady, unhurried, and I realized that life too could move with that rhythm, calm, deliberate, unforced. Each ripple seemed to whisper, "Flow, and you will find your balance." As I followed the brook deeper into the clearing, I began to notice details I had never allowed myself to see before. The tiny veins in each leaf catching the moonlight like delicate threads. The subtle scent of wildflowers that bloomed only at night. The way shadows stretched and contracted with the gentle sway of the trees. Each observation felt like a secret shared directly with me, a reminder that the world is full of quiet wonders when one learns to notice. The second lesson came in the form of stillness. I found a wide, flat rock near the base of an ancient oak and sat, feeling its cool surface beneath me. I closed my eyes and let the sounds of the night envelop me. The soft rustle of leaves, the distant call of an owl, the gentle trickle of the brook. In this silence, I realized how often I had filled my days with noise, thoughts, obligations, distractions, failing to honor the power of quiet. Here, in the stillness, I could feel my own heart, steady and strong, as if for the first time it had room to breathe. The moonlight seemed to pulse gently, a companion teaching me without words. Listen to your own rhythm. Respect the quiet within you. It is as vital as breath itself. And with that understanding, I felt layers of tension unravel, the knots of anxiety loosening one by one. The third lesson was perhaps the most subtle: trust. Trust in the process of life, trust in my own resilience, trust in the quiet guidance of the night. As I rose and continued along the path, I noticed how the forest seemed to adjust to me. Branches parted slightly, streams glimmered brighter, as if acknowledging my passage, and even the faint rustling of the leaves seemed encouraging. The world was alive, yes, but not in a way that demanded anything of me. It was alive in a way that reminded me I am not separate from it, and it has been supporting me all along. I wandered toward the heart of the clearing, where the moonlight pooled most brightly, and allowed myself to reflect on the burdens I had carried. Faces of worry, moments of fear, fleeting insecurities, they all appeared, not as threats, but as shadows I could finally observe with clarity. In their presence, I felt compassion for myself. I realized that I had been harsh, impatient, and demanding toward my own heart, expecting constant productivity, constant strength, constant motion. The moon seemed to whisper, "You are human. You are enough. Release what is not yours to hold." As I sat, absorbing the warmth of that truth, I began to notice other gentle phenomena in the clearing. A small cluster of glowing flowers that seemed to sway with the rhythm of my breath. Tiny orbs of light floating slowly through the trees, like deliberate sparks of magic. And a faint mist that shimmered faintly, carrying the scent of distant rain. Every element spoke a language of calm, teaching me to observe, to wonder, to trust, to rest. I lay back once more on the soft moss, gazing up at the moon. Its silver glow was steady, unwavering, a silent presence that felt like an old friend. I began to internalize the lessons, repeating them quietly in my mind. Presence, stillness, trust, compassion, release. Each word was like a small seed, taking root in the quiet soil of my consciousness. Time seemed to dissolve. I was neither here nor there, neither fully awake nor fully dreaming, but suspended in a space of deep calm. The moon whispered again, gently, its presence vibrating through every fiber of my being. Listen to your own rhythm. Respect the quiet within you. It is as vital as breath itself. And with that understanding, I felt layers of tension unravel, the knots of anxiety loosening one by one. The third lesson was perhaps the most subtle: trust. Trust in the process of life, trust in my own resilience, trust in the quiet guidance of the night. As I rose and continued along the path, I noticed how the forest seemed to adjust to me. Branches parted slightly, streams glimmered brighter, as if acknowledging my passage, and even the faint rustling of the leaves seemed encouraging. The world was alive, yes, but not in a way that demanded anything of me. It was alive in a way that reminded me I am not separate from it, and it has been supporting me all along. I wandered toward the heart of the clearing, where the moonlight pooled most brightly, and allowed myself to reflect on the burdens I had carried. Faces of worry, moments of fear, fleeting insecurities. They all appeared, not as threats, but as shadows I could finally observe with clarity. In their presence, I felt compassion for myself. I realized that I had been harsh, impatient, and demanding toward my own heart, expecting constant productivity, constant strength, constant motion. The moon seemed to whisper, "You are human, you are enough. Release what is not yours to hold." As I sat, absorbing the warmth of that truth, I began to notice other gentle phenomena in the clearing. A small cluster of glowing flowers that seemed to sway with the rhythm of my breath. Tiny orbs of light floating slowly through the trees like deliberate sparks of magic. And a faint mist that shimmered faintly, carrying the scent of distant rain. Every element spoke a language of calm, teaching me to observe, to wonder, to trust, to rest. I lay back once more on the soft moss, gazing up at the moon. Its silver glow was steady, unwavering, a silent presence that felt like an old friend. I began to internalize the lessons, repeating them quietly in my mind. Presence, stillness, trust, compassion, release. Each word was like a small seed, taking root in the quiet soil of my consciousness. Time seemed to dissolve. I was neither here nor there, neither fully awake nor fully dreaming, but suspended in a space of deep calm. The moon whispered again, gently, its presence vibrating through every fiber of my being. You are seen, you are heard, you are safe, you are loved, you are enough. And with those words, the final layers of tension lifted. I felt a completeness I had not known I could reach, a profound inner peace that did not require explanation, validation, or external approval. It simply existed, waiting quietly for me to notice it, to accept it, to carry it forward. In the quiet of the night, in the stillness of the forest, I began to drift once more toward sleep, this time with a sense of wholeness that resonated through my body, my mind, and my heart. Dreams arrived gently, fragments of the night's magic blending seamlessly with my own consciousness. Floating through silvered forests, walking along sparkling streams, resting beneath trees whose leaves whispered lullabies in time with my heartbeat. And in that surrender, I understood something fundamental. Life, like the night, does not demand perfection. It asks only presence, patience, and trust. Everything else, the burdens, the fears, the doubts, can be released, dissolved, and returned to the infinite rhythm of the world. I closed my eyes fully, letting the lessons of the night settle into my soul. The moon's glow, the whispers of the clearing, the soft rhythm of the forest, all of it became part of me, a living reassurance that I could carry with me, even beyond the night, even beyond the dreams. And as sleep claimed me once more, I knew that I had learned something timeless, that peace is not found outside, nor is it earned through effort. It exists within, waiting to be embraced, whispered to, and carried forward with gentle attention and love.
The first light of dawn crept slowly over the horizon, painting the world in soft hues of rose and gold. The moon, now pale and retreating, lingered briefly, as if acknowledging the night's final lesson before stepping aside for the day. I awoke from sleep not abruptly, but gently, carried by the lingering calm that had become part of me. Every breath I took was full, deliberate, and unhurried. The forest around me stirred softly,
birds calling faintly, leaves brushing against one another, a gentle breeze carrying the sense of early morning. I rose from the moss, feeling the coolness beneath my feet and the warmth of new light on my skin. For a moment, I simply stood there, absorbing the beauty of transition, the quiet shift from night to day, from shadow to light. It was not dramatic or jarring, it was tender, like the world itself was taking care not to disturb the serenity I had cultivated in the night. The lessons of the moon and the clearing remained vivid in my mind. Presence, stillness, trust, compassion, and release. Each one felt anchored within me now, no longer abstract ideas, but living truths. I could feel the rhythm of my own heartbeat aligning with the soft pulse of the world, and for the first time in a long time, I felt whole. I walked through the forest toward the familiar paths that led back to the town. The trees swayed gently, sunlight filtering through leaves in shifting patterns, casting delicate mosaics on the ground. Every step was mindful, each one a meditation, a conscious acknowledgement of the night's teachings. I felt gratitude for the journey I had taken, not the physical steps, but the emotional and spiritual ones. Along the way, I noticed things I had never paid attention to before. Tiny flowers opening to greet the day, dew sparkling like diamonds on the grass, the soft hum of insects beginning their morning chorus. The world felt alive in ways I had always overlooked, but now every detail seemed imbued with meaning. I realized that the night had not only taught me to rest, it had taught me to see, to feel, to appreciate. As I approached the edge of the town, the familiar streets greeted me not with the usual rush and noise, but with a gentle embrace. Streetlights flickered off as the sun rose higher, and I felt a connection between the calm of the night and the life of the day. Both existed in harmony, and both were mine to navigate with mindfulness and care. I paused at a small bridge overlooking a stream, the same one that had guided me in the moonlit hours. Its waters reflected the first rays of sunlight, rippling with gentle promise. I knelt to touch the cool surface, and for a moment I whispered softly, "Thank you for the night, for the lessons, for the calm." And in that instant, I felt a presence, subtle yet unmistakable, as if the moon itself was smiling, acknowledging my gratitude and encouraging me to carry the peace forward. The town slowly came alive, neighbors stirring, birds flitting from tree to tree, and life resuming its familiar rhythm. Yet I felt a profound difference within me. The anxieties that had once felt unshakable now seemed like distant shadows, acknowledged but no longer burdensome. The whispers of the night, the glow of the moon, the stillness of the clearing, they had become part of me, an unshakable foundation I could return to any time I needed. I wandered to a quiet bench in the town square, sitting down to absorb the unfolding day. The sunlight warmed my face, the cool morning breeze carried the scent of flowers and fresh earth, and I allowed myself to simply be. Thoughts drifted gently, plans, dreams, reflections, but none carried urgency. They were companions, not masters. I realized that this calm, this centered presence was not bound to the night alone. It was within me, a living, breathing part of my being, ready to guide me through every day that followed. And as I sat there, watching the first rays illuminate rooftops and streets, I understood something essential. The night had not only whispered secrets, it had revealed truths. Truths about patience, about love, about resilience, about the quiet strength that exists within every heart. Truths that did not need to be proven or displayed, only acknowledged and embraced. The moon had taught me that peace is not a destination. It is a choice, a rhythm, a continuous, gentle practice of listening, observing, and trusting. And as dawn blossomed fully into morning, I felt ready to carry that practice into every hour, every interaction, every step. I rose from the bench, feeling the solid earth beneath my feet, the warm sunlight on my skin, and the quiet strength in my chest. The world was alive, bright, and full of possibility, and I was alive within it, whole and present, carrying the night's whispers like a secret treasure. The path ahead was unknown, yet it no longer felt daunting. It felt like an invitation, a chance to move with the rhythm of life, to embrace each moment with awareness and grace. And as I walked forward, the gentle pulse of the moonlight fading behind me, I knew that the lessons of the night would always remain. To be present, fully and consciously. to trust in the quiet rhythm of life, to release burdens that are not mine to carry, to embrace the infinite calm that exists within, and above all, to remember that I am enough. The dawn stretched endlessly before me, promising new beginnings, gentle joys, and the quiet magic of ordinary moments. And in that promise, I felt a deep, unwavering peace, a peace that I would carry into every hour, every interaction, every heartbeat that followed. The night had ended, but its whispers remained, forever etched into the fabric of my heart.